Shalom, this is Levi Shore. Welcome back to Swing Good Torah. I learned something absolutely amazing on Shabbos. I was learning the sefer Tomer Devorah by Rabbi Moshe Cordevro, and he talks about all the Sefirot, and he talks about the attitude or the midos of how a person needs to act to acquire these Sefirot, and it's absolutely incredible. Just wanted to share it with you. So he says, for a person to emulate his creator according to the secret of the midah of Keter, which is the highest of all the Sefirot, it means the crown. He must possess several qualities which characterize the way Hashem conducts his world. So number one, he must be humble. So in Lashon HaKodesh, the word is anava, which means humility. He must be humble. The quality of humility is all-encompassing, for it derives from Keter. It is the most sublime of all the attributes. Nevertheless, it does not exalt or glorify itself over the other attributes. On the contrary, it always descends, gazing downward. There are two reasons for this. One reason is that Keter is ashamed to gaze at its cause. Instead, he who emanated Keter watches over it at all times in order to bestow goodness upon it, while Keter gazes at those below it. Meaning that Keter has humility the only thing above Keter is Hashem, is the Ein Sof, the infinite being. And Keter is ashamed at his own, in comparison. He's humble in comparison to Hashem. So he just looks down on the 9 Sefirot below him, and then wants to do good for them. And this is how Hashem acts, to the whole world, to everyone in the world. So similarly, a person should be ashamed to gaze upward and glorify himself. Rather, he should lower his gaze, minimizing his worth. This quality depends mainly on the head. For a person glorifies himself by raising his head upwards, arrogantly, haltingly, whereas a poor person lowers his head. Now there is none so patient and humble as our God in his attribute of Keter, for he has absolute compassion, and before him no flaw or transgression, no severe judgment or other quality can prevent him from watching over man and bestowing bounty and goodness upon him constantly. So too should man conduct himself. So too, this is how a person should conduct himself. So no reason whatsoever should prevent him from doing good to others, always and at every moment, and no transgressions or misdeeds of unworthy people should stop him from bestowing good on those in need. This is a really incredible idea that, we judge people all the time. We judge ourselves sometimes, but it's saying that no one is unworthy, that you shouldn't do kindness and good for them, which is a pretty incredible idea. And just as Hashem sustains all creatures from the highest to the lowest, despising none of them, for if he despised any creatures because of their insignificance, they could not exist for even a moment, watching over them and showing compassion to all. So too should man do good to all, not despising any creature. Even the lowliest beings should be very important in his eyes, and he should show concern for them, doing good to all who require his goodness. This quality too depends on Keter, the secret of the head in general. So then this is number 2. A person's thoughts should emulate the thought process of Keter. So just as Chachma, which is the next of the Sefirot, meaning wisdom, the Chachma of Keter never stops thinking good thoughts. And because it is absolute compassion, it allows no evil to enter, severity and harshness having no place there. So too should a person's thoughts be void of anything unseemly. And just as the Chachma Keter is the secret of, he calls it the primal Torah, the Torah Keduma. And this is the Torah, the Torah written in black fire, on white fire. It's in the spiritual worlds. And this is the original Torah created 2,000 years before the creation of the earth and the universe, where all the secrets of the Torah contain. So too should a person's mind contain nothing other than Torah thoughts, meditation on the greatness of Hashem and his acts of kindness and good, and so forth. As a rule, No strange or irrelevant thoughts should enter one's mind. Such was the elevated level of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his friends. And when Rabbi Yossi's thoughts once strayed a little from the Torah, note how Rabbi Shimon rebuked him, as retold in the Zohar on Parsha Vayakel. So number 3, a person's forehead, its meitzach, should display no harshness. Rather, one should emulate the display of the divine willingness. Let's see if I can find this word here. I think it's talking about Ritzon, like the will of Hashem. So display of probably the Ratzon Elyon. I'm not finding it right away. But it says that this display of the divine willingness, accepting everything, even though certain people arouse one's anger, he should he should he should try to make them you should placate them with goodwill. So even in people that drive us crazy, that make us angry, we should do nice things for them, and this will help us not be so angry at these people. So for this is what Hashem does, placating the powers of severity, of din, of Devorah, that prevail in anger. He directs them in goodwill and washes over them with great wisdom, causing the anger to subside so it won't break through its boundaries and cause damage, chas v'shalom. God forbid. Thus, one should follow the example of the divine will. Let me see if I can just find that real quick. I think it's the Ratzon Elyon. Okay, and then which derives from the most elevated level of chakma in the metzach, in the forehead of Atik Yomin, of the Ancient of Days. And this is the highest of the Partsufim. I'm not going to go too into the details here right now. It's just the ideas of how to act to attach ourselves to Keser. So when all the severities are appeased. So this example should also extend to constant pleasantness towards all creations. For if a person is harsh towards others, he will not find favor above. This is the meaning of the Mishnah. Anyone with whom his friends, his family are pleased, Hashem is pleased with him. Okay, and this is number 4. A person's ears should always turn to hear good, while lies or despicable things should be denied entry. Just as the secret of supernal listening, let me see if I can find this. So, ha'azana ha'elyona, like the higher listening, the highest ears, the highest listening, does not receive any cry for severe judgment or any damaging evil gossip, no lashon hara, no rechilos. A person should not listen to anything but good and positive things. To other things which arouse anger, he should not listen at all. So this is going to be hard for me, but I was always a bit of a news junkie. But honestly, I'm getting really burnt out in the news, and it seems like just every time I listen to news, it's telling me, either this political party or that political party, who you're supposed to be angry at today, or who you're supposed to be, or what you're supposed to be mad about today, and just I know I need to block this from my life and like stop, much less of this every day, and much less of hearing, people talk negative thoughts and negative speech, and just be so much more uplifting to just have positive influence coming in. So, and just as the words and the speech of the serpent, the Nachash, have no entry above, no despicable thing should enter a person's ears. So this is the meaning of when the Torah says, Lo sisa shema shav. You should not accept a false report. It's in Shmos 23:1, book of Exodus 23:1, if you want to look it up. So how much more does this apply to other despicable things, which should not enter his ears? Rather, he should listen only to good things. Incredible. And I think the more we do this, the more positive all of a sudden our outlook is in the world and life, and not this constant negative influence that we're getting. And I'm just astounded how negative like the movies are now, and the TV shows, and the news, and the music. It's not very uplifting. So number 5, a person's eye should not gaze at anything despicable. Rather, his eye should always be open to watch over unfortunates and have as much compassion for them as he can. He should not close his eyes to the suffering of the poor. Rather, should give as much thought to their predicament as possible, arousing the compassion of both heaven and man for them. He should distance himself from noticing evil, just as the supernal eye, the ayin ha'elyona, the highest eye, is ever open, always looking at the good. So there's something interesting here. So like occultic, you see this all the time in the media, like they have this occultic image of the one eye. And the truth is, at the highest level of the Sefirot and the highest of the Partsufim, it is just one eye, but that's been corrupted and distorted. And the true spiritual reality of it is right at this highest level, at the highest of the Sefirot, at the level of Keter, like Hashem only has compassion for people and sees the best in everyone, and there's no judgment, there's no din, there's no punishment at that level, and just sees the good in everyone. And that's the significance of the true meaning of the one eye, not how it's been distorted by all these occultists. So number 6, regarding the nose, not a breath of anger should ever be found in it. Rather, it should contain the breath of life and goodwill and patience, even towards those who are unworthy. One should always seek to fulfill the desire of others, to satisfy every request, and to revive the broken spirit, the people of broken spirit. He should always exhale forgiveness of sin and pardon of avera, of iniquity. He should not be angry with those who offend him. Rather, he should constantly be willing to be appeased, and he should desire to do kindness, pleasing everyone. Now, I'm not saying this is easy, but this is it. This amazing descriptions in Tomer Devorah is like, this is the goal. This is who we should really aspire to be, no matter where we are right now. We can always improve. We can always become better. And it's an amazing thing here. Like, the better we treat other people, the kinder we are to other people. Just speaking good things, hearing good things, seeing good things, instead of bringing in all the negativity, and speaking the negativity. And it's just, I mean, it's something that I know I need to do drastically in my life. And it's just amazing wisdom here. So number 7, a person's face should always shine, and he should receive all men with a cheerful countenance. For regarding the Keser Elyon, it is written, in the light of the king's countenance is life. Let's see if I can find it here. So it says, Be'ur Penei Melech Chaim, right? In the light of the face of the king is life. That's from Mishlei, from Proverbs 16:15. And just as no flash of anger, or severity enters there, no anger, no din. The light of his face should be unchanging, so that all who look into his face will find nothing but joy and cheerfulness. Nothing should disturb him from this. I mean, just got to smile at people, and if we want to see people smiling back, I mean, the best thing we can do is just smile. All right, so let's see what he says here. So number 8, Rabbi Cordevro, he says, his mouth should express nothing but good, and the content of his words should be Torah and constant goodwill, constant actions of good. No ugly words, no nevil peh, none of the ugly curse words, no anger, no frivolous talk, just like empty talk should escape his mouth. Rather, it should resemble the peh elyon, like the highest mouth, like the highest aspect of how Hashem speaks to us, which is never sealed, never silent from speaking good at all times. Thus, one must speak well of everything, expressing good and blessings constantly. Not, as I do a lot of times, unfortunately, like complaining about, everything that's happening on the news or who's, driving me crazy, but looking for the good, seeing that, right, Hashem runs the world and the world is good, and then speaking the good of each other and the good of the world. These are 8 good qualities, all of which come under the banner of humility, of anava. They all correspond to the supernal limbs of Keter. Thus, when a person desires to draw near to the higher worlds and emulate Hashem in order to open his sources to those below, he must be expert in these 2 chapters. Of course, we know that it is not always possible to conduct oneself in accordance with these qualities, since there are other qualities we must master. These are the lower severities, as we will explain. Nevertheless, on certain days, either these severities are inactive, and man does not require them, for Keter reigns, where the service pertaining to Keter is needed. At these times, one must use all the qualities we've mentioned, and any others required in divine service at their proper time should not be exercised, for the light of Keter nullifies them. Similarly, at this time, one should not draw on the qualities of severity. On Shabbos, for example, when the world is sweetened according to the secret of the oneg of Shabbos, the delight of Shabbos, and therefore the Beis Din, the courts, do not sit on Shabbos, one should activate all the qualities mentioned above in order to open the sources above. For if a person concentrates on the lights of Keter in his prayers, yet he behaves contrary to them in his actions, how can he open the sources of Keter, which he repeals with his deeds? Is it not all the more so that if Keter does not reside in the Sefirah above pertaining to the powers of severity and holy anger, Keter will not rest upon a person who allows the external expression of anger to prevail, even though he does so for the sake of heaven, l'shem shamayim. This is particularly true since he intends to allow the external expression of anger to prevail over the highest qualities, which will say how arrogant this person is. The light of Keter is not revealed in us, for we are the holy and pure severities. If this person desires to reveal the light of Keter when filled with anger and acting in an ugly, superficial way. Thus, on Yom Tovim, on Shabbos, on Yom Kippur, and at times of prayer, times of tefillah, times of study, learning Torah, which are not times of severity, but on the contrary, times when the, here, let me see if I can find it. I think it's Ratzon Elyon. It's the Ratzon Elyon. They call it the supernal will, like the highest will, is revealed. He should direct his mind to all these qualities. At other times, a person may activate other qualities in his divine service, in his avoda, but not the negative ones. For whenever they are in control, it is to his disadvantage, as will be explained. Then when he employs these qualities, he will surely open up the sources above. Therefore, every person must accustom himself to these qualities little by little. The main quality he should acquire, the key to them all, is anava, humility. For this is the highest and foremost aspect of Keter in which we are all contained, in which all are contained. So now the essence of humility is that a person does not see his value at all. Rather, he considers himself nothing, as Moses, the humblest one of all, said. He says, "V'nachnu ma ki salinu alinu." What are we that you should complain against us? So that's Shmos, Exodus 16:7. To the extent that one deems himself the lowliest of creatures, exceedingly despicable and loathsome, when a person strives to acquire this quality, all other qualities are drawn after it. For the primary quality of Keter is to view itself as nothing before the one from whom it emanates. Likewise, a person should consider himself nothing at all, thinking that it would have been better never to have been created. Consequently, he will act towards those who despise him as if they were correct and he were at fault. This will be a means of acquiring good qualities. I mean, this goes really contrary to almost everything we're taught, by our surroundings. And this is not easy. This takes a lot of work. The idea of people insulting us, and then we try to look and see, well, maybe I did something wrong. Maybe why are they so angry? What did I do that's brought out such anger in them? And not looking to blame others, say, no, it's you wrong. I mean, just the incredible aspect of humility. And it's probably completely will change our perception of life. So I have found a remedy, and this is right, and also this is not instant. I mean, this is day after day, but trying to acquire the qualities of Keter. So I found a remedy whereby a person can accustom himself to these things little by little, possibly curing himself of the disease of arrogance and allowing himself to enter the gates of humility. This cure is composed of 3 medications. So the first, a person should accustom himself to flee as far as possible from honor. For if he allows others to honor him, he will acquire the habit of pride, of gaiva, of arrogance. And by nature, he will always desire honor, of kavod. Then he will be able to be healed only with difficulty. Second, a person should train himself to see his shameful side, saying to himself, although others are unaware of my lack of worth, what of it? Do I myself not know that I am despicable in such a way, whether in lack of knowledge or ability, or in eating, or going to the bathroom, and so on, until he becomes despised in his eyes. Third, a person should constantly recall his averas, his sins, his avonos, and desire purification. He should desire that he should have tahara, and he should desire tochaka, rebuke, and yisurim, and suffering, asking himself, which type of suffering is the best in the world and will not distract me from the avoda, from the divine service. Surely there is none better than these, to be scorned and despised and insulted. For these will not weaken his strength and vitality with illness, nor will they rob him of his food and clothing, his life, or his children's lives. Chas v'shalom. Hence, a person should actually desire this form of suffering, saying to himself, why should I fast and torment myself with sackcloth and self-affliction, which weaken my strength for Hashem's service? Why should I desire these for myself? It is far better for me to be afflicted with contempt and shame, while my strength does not depart or weaken. Thus, when insults are given out to him, he should rejoice in them. Contrary to the typical reaction to them, he should desire them. I mean, this is how people become tzaddikim and tzaddikises, holy, righteous people. It's not easy, and it goes contrary to how most people, behave in this world, or what most people want in this world. So from these 3 ingredients, one can make a balm for his heart. He should accustom himself to this approach all his days. I found another excellent potion, although it's not as effective as the aforementioned remedy. A person should accustom himself to 2 things. First, he should respect all creations, recognizing them the greatness of the Creator, who formed man in his wisdom and whose wisdom is contained in all his creatures. He should realize that all creatures are to be greatly honored, since he who fashioned all things, the wise and the exalted one, has busied himself with creating them. And if he despises them, chas v'shalom, it affects the honor of their Creator. This is comparable to an expert craftsman who fashioned a vessel with great skill. But when he displays his work to people, one of them mocks and derides it. How angry that craftsman will be, since by scorning the work of his hands, the critic is belittling his very skill. So too, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, is grieved if any of His creations is despised. This is the meaning of the pasuk. Let me see. Ma rabu ma'asecha Hashem. How many are your works, Hashem? This is in Tehillim, in Psalms 104:24. So not how great, ma gadlu, but ma rabu, how many, suggesting great importance, as in the phrase Rav Beito, meaning the head or senior of the house. The pasuk continues, you have made them all with wisdom. Thus, since your wisdom is involved with them, your works are great and many, and it is proper for man to seek the wisdom in them and not despise them. Second, one should accustom himself to loving his friend in his heart. Even the wicked should be viewed as if they were his brothers. What's more, he should continue until love for all people is fixed in his heart. He should come to love even the wicked in his heart, saying, I only wish that they were righteous, returning into Shuvah, so that all of them would be great men desired by the omnipresent one. As Moshe, the faithful lover of all Israel, said. He said, Umi yitain kol am Hashem neviim. I wish that all the people of Hashem were prophets. So this is when Eldad and Medad were given in prophecy, and they prophesied that Moshe, his leadership was going to come to an end, and then the kingship, the leadership of the Jewish people would be given to Yeshua ben Nun. And Joshua, he gets very angry on Moshe's behalf, and Moshe says, no, quite the contrary. I wish all the Jewish people would be on this high spiritual level of prophecy. They should all be Nevi'im. He wasn't jealous of two new prophets. He wished the best for the whole Jewish people. And how should he love them? By recalling in his thoughts their good qualities. Let's see what he says. I guess they're good. And by covering up their flaws and refusing to see their defects. Rather, he should look for their good qualities. He should say to himself, if this poor, lonesome fellow were very rich, how much would I delight in his company, as I delight in the company of so-and-so? And if he were dressed in handsome clothes, like so-and-so, there would be no difference between them. If so, why should he lack honor in my eyes, being that he is superior to me in Hashem's eyes, since he is plagued and crushed with poverty and suffering, which cleanse one of sin? Why then should I hate him whom HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves? This way his heart will turn to the positive side of things, and he will accustom himself to ponder the good qualities we have mentioned. I was so amazed when I learned this on Shabbos. Never really studied this part of it before. Just incredible. This is how Hashem views the world through the Sefirah of Keter, and it's not happening. We're not going to suddenly change in this overnight, but slowly, by thinking about it every day, by striving to come closer to the Sefirah of Keter, we can change our whole outlook on how we perceive the world, how we perceive other people, how we perceive ourselves, and we're going to be seeing the world, the beautiful world, through Hashem's eyes. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it. Please, if you enjoyed it, if you stuck around this whole time, please share it with other people. It's just the beautiful words, the wisdom of Rabbi Moshe Cordevro and Tomer Devorah should go out to the whole world. And I hope to see you again soon on Sweet and Good Torah.